Admiral, you passed all my exam questions, but I will hand in. If you don't mind, we have a little time left. I'd like to hear what questions, concerns that our colleague Rania might have.
Thank you again, Admiral. This was really helpful. I learned a lot today. I really appreciate it. I still have some questions that come from the perspective of the Arab world. And it's because I'm monitoring and tracking everything that they say on TV and what the Iranian regime is also saying. And the Iranian regime is trying to picture us as though we have not prepared for the war, as though the president was surprised after we went into the war, as though we're wanting to back off. And
Mm.
my question to you is, I have two questions. I have a political question and a military question, but are we really not, did we really not know what's going on in Iran and as far as what their powers are and what their capabilities are? And is it true that we're wanting to back off from this war because it turned out that we didn't know how strong they are?
Hmm. I wouldn't say how strong they are. I think, you know, perhaps more resilient than many people thought, that the regime would survive the pounding that they have taken. But you know, to backing off now is not really, in my mind, a very good option. Um, the clearly there are some things that Iran has done and might want to do in the future. And I think we just need to be very clear-eyed that backing off or not putting in place some guardrails that will prohibit some of those activities in the future, I think would be a mistake. The other aspect is, and we touched on this earlier in our conversation. I think the outcome of the strait is extraordinarily important, and and that the U.S. and the region and other international partners need to do everything to prevent the strait from becoming a toll booth. And I think that you know, to allow that to happen, um, one would not be good for today, but also it wouldn't be good for tomorrow in other regions. And so I think that, to you know, as I look at the issue, um, clearly the nuclear aspect of Iran is something that we have to remain concerned about. And then the rights of passage in and out of the Persian Gulf need to be uh, something that the international community is absolutely committed to and rock solid on. And so, you know, as I listened to the president last night, you know, people can read things into it, but I didn't get a sense that there was a backing off.
Yeah.
And our military, as we opened with, is doing an absolutely extraordinary job, and will continue to do so in the future. And I
Can
think
I
we,
can
Military,
oh,
oh, sorry.
no? Let me just, can I just interject an aside, Admiral? If when you were still in office, if someone had said to you, "Okay, we're going to execute this war plan against the Iranian regime," and in the space of a little over a month, essentially neutralize their Air Force, Navy,
Mhm.
missile defense, air defense, take out their top two echelons of leadership, uh, and suffer not a single lost aircraft to hostile fire, other than a couple of aircraft damaged on the tarmac, and suffer, while tragic, just 13 fatalities, uh, six of whom were lost to hostile fire. What would you have said to that?
I mean, I would have, one, I would have had great confidence, but I would have expected the casualties to be higher.
Yeah.
Um, even just through accidents,
Right.
which I think just speaks volumes of the professionalism of the force, the
Yeah.
precision with which things are being done, the great care that's being taken to protect our people and maintaining, the safe practices, which in an environment in which they're operating today is absolutely extraordinary. And so, the credit goes to all of those young men and women that are out there doing hard work in very trying circumstances. It really is an extraordinary campaign, as I mentioned at the outset. And I think um, those who are doing the hard work really need to be recognized and respected for what they're doing, the professionalism and the precision, and just the great care that they take toward one another. I think is just so important, and um, that's just the nature of the American Armed Forces, and I'm extremely proud of it, and we all know where they come from. They're our friends and neighbors who elected to, put on a uniform and serve our country, and they're just doing a magnificent job.
Ron, you're back to you.
Yes, it was a military question in regards to Iranian missiles. Now we all know that the Iranians have been shelling a lot more, triple the amount on the Arab countries, a lot more than Israel. Does that have anything to do with the fact that they may not have long-range missiles and they're trying to use short-range missiles against the countries that are closer to them? And if it's true, how does that play? What does that say about Iran's power?
Yeah. Again, Ronnie, I don't, have access to, detailed information and classified information. But I think that it indicates to me that the types of missiles that can range Israel have been significantly depleted. I think they're being very cautious in their use. And I would also say that they're probably husbanding them if they find themselves in an absolutely completely dire position to be able to use them. I think that the systems that they are using in the Gulf are less expensive, perhaps less sophisticated, but yet they can still harass and damage and kill. And so I think they have more of those because they're, as we talked about, the nature and cost of weapons. They've been able to produce more of those over the years at a less cost and be able to proliferate them. So I do think their inventory has to be going down. Their production lines are damaged, if not destroyed, and I think that we're seeing that. So at some point, I'm hopeful that there'll be a realization that this can't go on, and a different path is taken.
Thank you, Admiral. I finished with my questions. I still have a lot more, of course, but
Okay.
thank you. I'll turn it over to Joel
Well,
because he's
maybe,
loving meeting with you. So we'll
yeah.
let him.
Well, maybe we'll save those for reprise, and maybe start here in a few weeks. When when we've seen things progress a little further, maybe we can uh, we can reconvene and see what we think then, if you don't mind.
No,
I'm
I
really
would
pretty.
enjoy
Yeah,
I would enjoy that, and I applaud you for the information that you're able to provide to others who are intensely interested in what's going on, and who have a very vested interest in it, because this is, security beyond the Gulf and its prosperity beyond the Gulf, and the work that Rania, you and Joel do, I think is extraordinary, and I really appreciate it, and would love to come back, and I'm sure we'll have plenty of questions to talk about. So
yeah.
thank you very much.
Well, thank you, sir. Never a dull moment. And the world is the world is exciting. The region we study, region we study is changing by the hour almost. So there will be a lot of ground to cover in the future. Well, Admiral Roughead, we really appreciate your expertise. We really appreciate you taking the time to give us your thoughts on some of these questions. And I think, particularly, I think people in the region are going to appreciate a voice like yours, just being able to illuminate some of these issues for you, and especially in a world where there's so much they're hit with so much disinformation, particularly from the Iranian regime and its allies. So we try to cut through the noise to give them to give them some facts.
And I would
But
say, Joel, to one of your earlier questions about what's different about this time than the 1980s, it's
mm,
the information
yeah,
ecosystem in which we all live, and that is a huge, huge factor in how people think about it and form their opinions. And the work that you do really helps inform them so that they can better understand the circumstances. So, but it is a different world. That back in the 80s, they would send telegrams back and forth, or you would see
yes,
it on a very limited news cycle. And now it's on your phone instantaneously, and you never know what's true and what's false.
yeah. Well, sir, thank you very much, and we'll hopefully see you again soon.
I hope so.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much, Admiral.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bye-bye.